Hey guys, I'm back. So today I want to talk about a couple of things. So this has been really hard still. I was thinking, looking it up, it has been like 180 days. 180 days since I last got to talk to my son, text to my son, hug my son. 480 days. And it still feels like it happened yesterday. Still feels like it didn't happen at all. I wished it didn't happen at all. He was going to be on July 30th this year. He's supposed to be turning 25. Last year, we had to celebrate his 24th birthday without him. This year, we have to celebrate his 25th birthday, or his second year almost in heaven. This is hard. I don't care who you are. This is hard. There are days that I wake up and I have to keep reminding myself that any of this has happened at all, because it doesn't seem like any of this is real. Talked about that last week, about trapped inside of a nightmare, because that's literally how it feels. Being trapped, right? Being trapped somewhere you just don't know how to wake up from. I keep writing. I keep doing my songs. I keep doing my YouTube videos, these talks, because I have to talk, right? I can't, like I said last week, I can't just keep all that bottled up inside of me to continue to just like eat me away. And it's hard. It is so hard. My daughter just had a little boy last week. Reminds me so much of Kody, and just hard. Even Cody's gigantic picture that we have, right? Let me see if I can find it. It's Cody's gigantic picture that we had made from the service. Since Kody didn't actually get to hold him, he would have just fell in love with him. I went and took a picture holding him up to him. I don't know if you can see it, but so that way, my daughter can always do this. That way it actually looks like he's holding him. He would have loved him so much. He would have had another little boy to run around with. It was just him and my husband, right? They were the only guys. But I still miss him every single day. Every single day. And it's hard. It's really hard. I could be fine one second and then complete mess the next. And some people call that being moody. I'm not being moody, right? I have so much going on up here that it is literally tearing me apart. Yes, I believe in God, and that is the only thing. That is the only thing that keeps me going, right? Because I know one day I'm going to see my son again. And that is literally the only thing that keeps me going, because I know my son. I know he's with Jesus, and I know that, but it's still hard, right? Even though where your son is at. I don't know. A lot of times I don't know, think that he's off at college, right? He's still reachable. Right. I still text him all the time. And I sit there and I just like, I don't know if y'all have ever done this, but you text and look at your phone and just like wait for that text message to come back. I catch myself doing it a lot, and wait for that text message to come back. Sorry, this thing's getting on my nerves. And I'm just looking at it, going like, and then I text him back. I'm like, why are you not replying to me? Right. And then I have to like, oh, that's why you're not replying to me. Right. 480 days today. Still does not feel real, but I'm trying, right? Going to counseling, doing all my stuff that I'm doing. But I honestly don't think that none of this ever goes away, right? And it's just life, right? It's just something, like I've been through a lot of stuff. And once my book comes out, I'm trying to get it done by his birthday on 30th, because that's when I had like my first albums released was on the day, right? My very first album song was released on the day that it happened, on February 18th, a year later. And so I'm trying to get this book together to get it released on the 30th. And like I say, writing that has like shown me things, right? Things that I didn't see. And like God speaks in all those things. And I know I'm just rambling, but it's okay, right? You're watching my channel, you're probably rambling too in your own head. There's a lot of days that I sit there and work, right? And I'm working. Cody used to sit behind me all the time. Like he'd come over and just sit behind me all the time, watch TV, eat breakfast, fall asleep on the couch when I was working. And I would just like always look back, and he would just crack up at me and go, Mom, like pulling my hair out, right? Because all jobs is just like real stressful sometimes, because you get people that are just like so extra, right? And he would just be like chuckling behind me, and I'm just like, and he goes, right? And then when I was not on a call, these people are driving me crazy. And he'd go, I think it's your job. It was so funny. I still sit and like look back. I feel like he's still like behind me doing that. Like as soon as I get one of those calls, I always look back and see if he's there. Like it's so crazy, right? And if you've ever lost a child, like today. Went to go get a simple little thing, right? Went to go get my youngest some glasses the first time. And we drove on the path where my son had like it flipped his car like in May of 2024, right? He flipped his car, got into a real bad accident, totaled his car out. And he was fine, right? He walked away with it. Was fine and stuff. And so we're driving down that road and stuff. And it's just like, it was our path, right? This is our path. This is the way we always went when we went to doctor's appointments. Drove down this little path, drove through like Cartersville, if you're familiar with Cartersville and stuff. And that was our path, right? We had so many conversations on that path and like just driving down where you and your child like have so many memories, right? Like driving past everything. You just start replaying all those memories in your head over and over. But they're like happy memories, right? The happy memories still hurt, right? Because you can't make those memories happen again. And sometimes the people around you just don't get it, right? Don't get it. Be sitting here trying to keep myself together, right? But at the same time, all that's going on in my head is all the times. Like we drove this route like so many times, every Saturday for sure on the way down to Atlanta to see his doctor. We're driving by things. We talked about this over here. We went over there, right? Because my son always with me, right? Always with me. 24 years old, always with me, 23, every day. So his footprint is everywhere that I went. My son's footprint is there. Except now that's all I got is just the footprint. And I hold on to those memories. But they're hard to get it together. And that's hard to explain to somebody else because those things that you are like going through in your own mind, right? Like all the things after you lose a child. You can't explain every single one of them to somebody who's like not going through the same thing that you're going through. And that's what makes it hard because you have all this, right? This was your baby, right? This is someone who grew inside of your stomach. This is someone who you birthed. This is someone who you walked every single day of life with. This is someone who you spent and put so much time and energy into every single day. There was not a day go by where I did not hug my son, talk to my son, see my son, him give me a hug, him say, I love you, mom, right? For 23 years, not one single day. And then at an instant, take all that away with no warning, no goodbye, right? No goodbye, just found, right? It's like someone pulls every single thing out from underneath you and you can't, that's hard. And you constantly are like thinking about every single thing all the time. And you can't never talk to somebody about all those things that you're talking about or in your head going on all the time because they just won't get it, right? They just won't get it. So where do they stay? They stay locked. And that's why I have to like do these talks. That's why I have to like write this book. That's why I write my songs, right? I do it because I have to. I have to get it out, but it's still not everything, right? It's never going to be just every single thing because there's just some things that go on and continually play over and over and over in your head that are just going to stay there. Like the day, right? The day. We all have that day that our world stopped. That day, everything changed, right? We all remember that day in better detail than we remember anything else in our whole entire life. I know I do. I remember the way he looked. I remember what I was thinking before, the before and after. There's a mark. There's a line drawn on what was going on before. And then when that before ended, when I recognized it, when I found him, that is the day that my heart stopped. And it was so messed up because when I did, it was like every single thing like we have been working for was like crashing down all at once, right? All the hope, all the prayers, all the things that we were fighting for, all this work, everything. It's just like all the hopes and dreams and plans for the future. And it was like everything was like crumbling on top of me in a second. And I was drowning because I knew I couldn't fix it. And I'm a fixer, right? I like fixing things. I like figuring things out, like making things right. But I couldn't make that right. No matter how much I tried and prayed and pleaded and begged God, couldn't change what happened. And all of that is still like trapped inside. I close my eyes and I see. I just stand there and I see. I just want my son. That's all. And I know I can. And that's the hard part. I can't fix any of it. There's days where I'm a little on edge. There's days where I just want to be left alone. There are days where I really need to like focus on my stuff, right? Stuff for my son because I have to. Because if not, I'm going to literally go crazy. And I'm so tired. Like, if you've lost a child, it drains you in a way beyond exhaustion, right? I'm not mad at my son. I'm not mad at God. I'm more mad at myself because I couldn't fix it. I'm mad at myself because I didn't see. I'm mad at myself that I might have missed something. But I made a pinky promise to my son, right? That I was going to keep doing what I had to do, right? Until I got to see him again. And if it's coming on here and talking and being okay one week and then acting like a complete baffling lunatic the next week, so be it, because this hurts. And if you've lost a child, the hurt and the darkness that just tries to take you under. But I refuse to let the darkness try to take me under. The darkness has already swallowed enough of my life, like before I even knew who God was. And now that I know who God is, when I got saved, the darkness can't win. It tries like hell, but I know God's got my back. And that is what I have to stand on every single day. I know people get mad at God because things like this happen, tragic things happen, but I do also know that God was in the details. I know God was with him that day when he took his last breath and when he took his first breath in heaven. I know that. And I know God was with me way before any of this ever happened. And I know that he plans out our beginning and our end. He just didn't let me in on this. And I don't understand why any of this had to happen. I really don't. And that's one of the things that just baffles me, right? Because things came out of left field that I cannot wrap my head around about things. Okay, I just cannot literally wrap my head around any of this. Not just with my son, like losing my son that day, but things leading up and things like that. I cannot wrap my head around any of it. And then to go back and just like, God just keeps showing me little pieces of things, right? Not necessarily things that I missed, right? But showing me things about how he was already preparing things for me, if that makes sense. Just like about finding the letter before my son, right? It's like downloading certain songs and the need and the son giving my life back to God on February 26, 2024. And so he told me, Mom, he was like, Mom, I can't do this on my own anymore. I remember it plain as day. He had that look in his eye. He's like, Mom, I gave my heart back to God. That right there made me more proud than anything he's ever done in his whole entire life. Because he himself told me, Mom, I gave my heart back to God. All that praying I've been doing for him. I was just overwhelmed. I thought things were going to be, yes, right? Yes. He gave his heart back to God. We're going somewhere, right? We're making things happen. This is direction, right? God's done pulled me out of the biggest pit of hell. He's got my son now. Like, we're good. And then I asked him, I was like, baby, what changed? He goes, can't do this on my own anymore, Mom. And that's surrender right there, right? That's not fake surrender. It's God really stepping in and all the talks and the light in his eyes and things like that. It's not fake. I know a fake Christian when I see a fake Christian, right? I know the judgmental Christians. When I see judgmental Christians, the people who pretend to be all holier than thou and stuff, that was one of the main reasons it took me so long to even get saved and believe in God. Is because I was atheist until I was like 28 years old. Because the people that were trying to talk to me about God were trying to talk to me about God, but then go sleeping around and doing all these other things at the same time and being mean people and talk behind people's backs. And I'm like, what person is that? Like, who wants to follow that God, right? So that was one of the main things, because the people that were supposed to be representing who Jesus is and his actual power and his love were tainting the name, right? And that's why I taught my son, right? After I got saved, and I taught my son and my daughter, right? That God sees your heart. That is what God taught me after I finally gave my heart to God. I didn't give my heart to God because I was in a church. I was in my car on the interstate, for crying out loud, right? I did my research, right? I tried myself, just like God's Not Dead, on there trying to disprove God to people and stuff. And God showed me himself that he was real. I didn't need any person to tell me how real God was. That wasn't good enough for me. I needed God himself to come down and tell me and show me just how real he actually was, because I thought he was fake. And God himself did come down and he pulled me and my kids out of hell. And I felt that sitting in my car, stuck in traffic on the interstate. And God taught me, not by what I learned in church, by opening my Bible up every single day, dissecting it, right? Over and over, reading scriptures and cross-referencing and everything and doing my homework, right? Not listening to other people tell me about how great God was. I wanted God to tell me how great God was. That's where I wanted my information to come from. And that's how I brought my kids up. Study. Show yourself approved, is what the Bible says. Study God's word. Ask him who he is. Don't just go watch a sermon and get all emotional and then turn away from it and then act like somebody completely different, right? Ask God who he is. Get God to show you. Okay, God, you're real? That's literally what I did. Okay, God, if you're so real, show me that you're real, right? And he did 100% all him. And when he changed my heart, it was a change. And I seen that change in my son, see it in his eyes. I could see it in his presence. I could see it in his heart. I could see it in his tone, the way that he just changed everything. And it wasn't for show. It was honest. It was an honest change. It wasn't fake. Because I always told my kids, always, God sees your heart. You may be doing one thing, right? But God sees what your intentions are in beside your heart. So my son, he studied, he read. God, he could read. He could read so fast. He read like half the Bible and retained it in like less than 2 weeks. And I'm like, what the heck? But some days I'm okay. Right? Not really okay. But some days I'm there, okay? Be honest. Some days I'm a complete mess and I just want to be left alone. Sometimes everything in the world is coming down on top of me and I have no idea that it's actually coming down on top of me, right? Some things are like the simplest little things can get you like immediately stressed. It could be the fact that the light bulb's flickering, right? And everything is just like, what the heck? I can't deal with this right now. But then you could have all this great catastrophe happen and you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll get through that. So grief comes in waves. I'm learning that. And you don't know when those waves are going to start kicking up and you don't know when they're going to be calm, right? So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I've made it 480 days doing what I'm doing, my theory, right? 480 days, my test of my theory. Continue to write, continue to do these videos, continue to write my songs and do my songs, continue to make my YouTubes, my animation videos. That's working for me. It's keeping my head above water when I feel like I'm drowning because I don't know how to swim. But anyway, guys, this is just a random rant. I don't know. I have no idea, honestly, what's going on from one day to the next. I try to make goals. Right? You ever try to make a goal and you plan everything out for it and then something happens when people aren't on the same page as your goal. And you're just like, what the heck? I was trying to like keep my head above water. I don't know. Just some random stuff. But anyway, guys, like, comment, subscribe. If this helped you in any way, it's helped me just to be able to talk, share, pass it around. It helps get this to people who might feel like you're losing your complete mind as well. Got this necklace. Let's get my son's fingerprint on the back and I rub it all night because I can't have his hand. So if you see me mess with my necklace, it's my son's fingerprint. It's still something that was like marked by him. And then on the front, I got the moon trees and the stars and an infinity symbol on the front. And there's ashes inside of it. And my daughter gets on to me. She's like, Mom, don't you ever take your jewelry off? I'm like, no. I don't. But anyway, guys, Kody, I love you, babe, all the way to heaven. And I'm going to continue to keep looking for him. Something in me just says that, like, I know he's in heaven. And I text him a lot. And I'm like, what are you doing, Bubs? Right? I used to call him Bubs. Still call him Bubs. Like, what you up to, Bubs? What are you doing in heaven? Because I just sit here sometimes. I know I said I was done, but I just sit here sometimes or be laying in bed and text him, what are you up to today? How's things going? Because I have no idea what heaven looks like. I don't even know what you do in heaven, right? I think about that because the Bible says that we'll be able to identify each other and we'll know each other in heaven. And I just think about that because I have his ashes sitting back here behind me. And I know that on earth, we have one form. And in heaven, we have our soul, which makes us who we are, right? And that's the part that goes to heaven. And I think about it a lot the day I get to see him when I'm in heaven. Like my mom's it's Alzheimer's stage 7F. That's like the final stage, right? And I know some part of her inside of me still knows who we are, right? And she always grabs my necklace, right? And she smiles real big and stuff. And she'll put it in my shirt and tap my chest like that. And I always tell her, I was like, look, if you see Kody before Mama, tell him Mama loves him so much. And you give him the biggest hug in the world for me. And tell him Mama's not mad. tell her that every time I see her, right? Because the reality is, I know my mom's not going to last very long. So every time I see her, I say, "You give Kody a hug for me. Give him the biggest hug in the world, and you make sure he's okay for me." She just smiles so big. She just smiles so big at me. And she nods her head. "I got you. I got you."